Hey, what's going on? Justin here from Modern Mixing, and today I wanted to talk about delay throws. So I wanted to talk about this because I still feel like there's a little bit of misconception, or some people don't really understand or are familiar with the term. You may already be doing this if you're a newer engineer, but maybe you just don't know what it's called. But yeah, I'm gonna kind of show you. There's two different ways that I would approach this. Usually use one over the other. But again, there's no real right or wrong way to do this, as long as the end result is, what you planned out in the first place. That's kind of the most important thing. So basically, a delay throw is a specified piece of audio. It could be a vocal, it could be a guitar, it could be a drum part like a snare or something like that. And you want a certain delay to happen at a certain time in your track. So that's essentially what we're doing, was we're throwing the audio to a delay unit, and then that delay unit is triggered, the delay happens, and then all is well, and we move on to the next part. So the first way that I would do this is I would create a new audio track, and then I would slice out the pieces of audio that I want, and then I would throw those onto the duplicate track. So in Pro Tools, I'm using Pro Tools. I'm going to show you sort of how to do it in here, but you can really do this in any DAW. You would hit Control-Shift-N or Command-Shift-N to get a new track. And then I usually start with a mono track, audio track, and then hit Create. I've already done that, so I'm not going to do that now. Then you just load up your favorite delay unit. I wouldn't say this is my favorite, but it's a common one. Every Pro Tools user has it, so that's why it makes sense to use it. So you add that on your inserts of your audio channel. We can rename this to vocal. I'll just call it vocal throw. And then next we go through the audio parts, and then we hear which parts we want to delay. So let's just give it a listen and we'll see.
This is the sound of my heart on the ground.
Okay, so everyone would hear that differently. You may want to put delays in your own certain spots or whatever, but just for time's sake, I'm gonna choose this part. And then if you're using Pro Tools, you just hit B. It will chop it out, slice it out. I'm gonna select this part, push B again, and then I'll put this part over here. I was gonna do this part, but I feel the timing of the delay might be a little bit awkward, so I'm just gonna choose these three parts here. Next thing we do is we want to select the channel, and then if you push Alt, you can drag it down to the channel. You hold Alt, and it'll create a copy. And that's it, and that's pretty much done. So if you really want to, you can do some fades. Maybe the track needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Just get it all nice and clean, so there's no clicks or pops. But you're really gonna have to listen to it. I mean, you won't be able to eyeball this stuff out and do it. You have to listen to it and kind of, work it in. So anyways, let's just assume that sounds good, and then we will get into our delay unit. It's very important we make sure it's 100% wet. I'm gonna start with a quarter note delay, and once you have a quarter note, if you want it to be a big wide sound, Pro Tools, if you're in a mono track and you load up the mono stereo delay, it'll automatically turn this mono channel into a stereo. So what you can do is, if you want it to be wide, you can take one of the sides, and if it's on a quarter, you can just kind of push it back a little bit, delay it a little bit more, and then they're 3 to 5, 10 milliseconds off, whatever it is, and then it'll just create this wide sort of delay. So let's hear how those delays sound now.
This is the sound of my heart on the ground.
So overall, they sounded pretty good. The timing was pretty good. The last delay might have been a little bit off, so you might have to go in and tweak that one a bit. Another thing you can do is, let's say this part here, it needed an eighth note instead of a quarter note. What you can do is you can create another track, and then you can drag the other part down to the other track, and then you can set that delay up for an eighth note instead of a quarter, or you can automate the delay, whatever you're comfortable with. Most people, especially when they're starting out, they would rather just copy onto different tracks, and that way it makes it a little bit easier, more manageable for them. But again, you can do whatever you feel like. But the one thing to keep in mind though is, with this, if you're going to do it like this, you're going to copy the delays down. if, for instance, this track has something on it like auto-tune or other type of effects like that, you're going to have to copy those onto this track. But if you're using a slower computer, then that might be an issue for you. Okay, so the next thing we can do is we can set up an aux channel. Instead of duplicating the track or creating a new audio track, we can send this particular, in this case the vocal, we're going to send this to an aux channel, and then we're going to put the delay on the aux channel, and then we're going to trigger it through there. So same thing, Control-Shift-N, just send it to an aux input. This time you put on stereo. I've already done that. So let's open that up. Again, load up your favorite delay, put on the insert of the auxiliary channel. Then we can name this like delay verse, or you can do verse throw. You know, whatever you want, be creative. Just make it easy for you to understand. So when you see that and you read it, you know exactly what it is. You got to go into your sends and you got to create a send for the delay. So we are going to go into our buses. I already have it labeled as delay. And then for our verse throw for the aux channel, we set our input to the delay. And then that's going to our mix bus. So again, so the vocal, we're sending it out through a send to the input of the auxiliary channel, and then it goes into the delay unit here, and then the delay unit goes out to the mix bus. So it's very important, again, that you have your mix bus, or so your delay mixed to 100%. Then what we're going to do is we're going to automate the send from the vocal channel here. So we are going to go to delay level, and then we already know where our delays are going to be. But again, if this is fresh and you haven't listened to it yet, then just listen through, decide where you want your delays to be, and pick the parts, and then you can just automate them up. I'm gonna automate it to 0 dB, more or less. That's good enough. Same thing with this one. Okay, so once we do that, this is going into this delay unit. We'll set this up for a quarter note. We'll do the same thing. Delay the sides a little bit to make it wide, and then let's listen to it. Make sure that's engaged.
This is the sound of my heart on the ground as it.
So another thing you can do is if you want your delays to last a little bit longer, all you have to do is really just bump up your feedback a little bit, and then let's test it out. Let's see.
This is the sound of my heart on the ground as it.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So again, same thing. Once you're finished that on the aux channel here, you can throw in whatever you want: compression, EQ, flanging, you name it. Sky's the limit. So yeah, that's it for delay throws. I have an article that I threw on the website. It's a little bit more in depth than I kind of explained here. But if you want to go check it out, just click the link below. Also subscribe, like, all that good stuff. If you haven't checked out how to mix an R&B song, click the link below. That'll take you to the site. It's a free tutorial. You can download all the session files, all that good stuff. Anyways, till next time.